I've got a single shot, protect automatic doorbell, semi-artillery. I got a new ring of sawdust, gonna break your wrist off things you've never seen. I'm gonna take it to a heavy metal store, maybe coming after me. 'Cause I got the right to defend what's mine in the face of tyranny.
Hello, my gun-toting friends, and welcome to the Average Joe Gun Show. On today's gun show, we're going to be discussing the Winchester Model 1890. Before I get started, it is unloaded. Winchester was looking for a replacement for the 1873 lever action 22 that wasn't very popular. So they made a call to John Moses Browning, or they probably wrote him a letter at that time. And this is what he gave us. The Winchester 1890 slide action 22. Came in 22 short, 22 long rifle, and Winchester rimfire. This one is chambered in 22 short and manufactured in 1924.
Found an old box of ammo for an old rifle. I think this one's from the 60s or 70s.
In April of 1919, Winchester removed the prefixes off of their rifles. So a Winchester Model 1890 became a Model 90. As you can see on the barrel, Model 90 22 short. This one's been passed down in my family for a couple of generations. My grandpa purchased it from a co-worker for $25 and gave it to my dad when he was 13 years old. It's been a while ago, and then my dad handed it down to me years later. It has a 24-inch octagon heavy barrel, and shooting 22 shorts out of a heavy barrel has zero recoil and hardly any sound. My dad told me this was my grandpa's favorite squirrel rifle because he could shoot one squirrel and with hardly any sound it wouldn't disturb the others, so he could take another one. The sights on firearms at this time period are microscopic compared to modern firearms. The U-notch on this is super tiny. I can't even get it in the camera. There we go. Very small U-notch. Let's see if we can get that bead on there. Very tiny bead. But if you're holding on target, you've got your sights aligned and break the shot, you can't miss with this. It is very accurate. Another reason for the accuracy is the light trigger. It came with a 2-pound trigger. Because this is a rimfire, we're gonna not let the hammer slap. There's no take up. Just a clean, breaks like a rod. Do that again. That's all the trigger movement. So 100 years later, and it still shoots and it's still accurate. But the 22 is a very sooty round, so the rounds will stick in the chamber.
The way this operates is when you pull the slide back, the extractor pulls the round. Well, you hope it does. Sometimes it sticks in there, because it's an ancient rifle.
So you just run a brush through it, put a little oil on it, and it's good to go. Another thing that happens after I threw a few magazines through it is the takedown bolt loosens up. Now that's possibly due to the fact that it's 100 years old, or maybe it's always had that issue since they were new, but it has some nice knurling on there to tighten it down. What this is for is you loosen this up and this rifle disassembles in 2 pieces for ease of maintenance.
And after you've shot through a couple of magazines, you always got to make sure the rifle's tight with this receiver screw right here. This rifle would take this one screw, disassemble into 2 pieces to clean it. So you got to crank her down by hand. It's got nice little knurlings on it, so you can do it by hand and keep your rifle together.
This is a 3rd generation model with a locking breech. When this comes forward, as you can see, it locks down in the receiver. Something else that also locks is you can run the action if the hammer is down. If you have it on half cock safety, you can't run the action. If it's on full cock, you can't run the action. You have to let the hammer down to rerun the action.
I'll do it quickly this time to see if the extractor will pull it. But the hammer has to be down or you can't run the pump action. And this elevator comes up and kicks the round out after the extractor pulls it from the barrel, then chambers another round. Speaking of which, the hammer has to be down to run the slide action. It has a half cock safety or full cock. If it's on either one of these, you can't run the action.
It has a crescent butt stock, which was popular in the time period. Guess for really locking the rifle into your shoulder pocket. I'm not sure if that's the way to go nowadays. Most rifles all have shotgun style butts, which are flat. This was one of Winchester's most popular .22 general purpose rifles from the time period for plinking in your backyard or hunting squirrels, or main use was a shooting gallery gun at your carnivals and your fairs where you could win a stuffed animal or something. Nowadays they use air rifles due to the lack of firearms knowledge of the American people, for obvious reasons, shooting BBs into balloons instead of .22.
Old school gallery gun. Versus new school gallery gun.
And if you want one of these classic old rifles, you can still find them in the well-used, well-loved section of the gun store. If you want a new one, Henry and Rossi are making their version of new reproductions. So you can get a brand new style 1890, not exactly, but still a slide action .22. There's 849,000 of these out there, so I think you'll be able to find one in a used section somewhere. Well, I think that's all I've got for you on today's episode of This Old Winchester. But remember, eat right, exercise, and go to the gun range and get those reps in. And don't just practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you have friends, share it with them. Go get some training. And if you need training, you can contact me if you need to take a concealed carry class. I'd appreciate it, and then I would enjoy hearing from you. Thanks for watching. By the way, Here's a blooper or something. This one is chambered in